Dear students, in this video, we are going to learn the importance of studying random sampling distribution from normal parent population and its difference between two dependent or correlated means. Random sampling. Random sampling is a part of the sampling technique in which each sample has an equal probability of being chosen at random. A sample chosen randomly is meant to be an unbiased representation of the total population. In certain situations, the sample does not represent the population and the variance is called a sampling error. Random sampling is one of the simplest forms of collecting data from the total population. Under random sampling, each member of the subset carries an equal opportunity of being chosen as a part of the sampling process. Random sampling is an important technique in two sample correlated means, which is a scientific way of selection. For example, we take a sample of 30 employees for the total population of 300 employees in a company. There is always a possibility that the researcher might end up picking over 25 men and 5 women, even in the population consists of 200 men and 100 women. Hence, sample variations may occur randomly, which is known as sampling error. The main objective of any sampling technique to reduce the sampling error, which is one of the important concepts in studying the random sampling. Advantages of random sampling. In random sampling method, there are two important advantages are available. The first one comes with lack of bias. Here, each individual in a large population has the same probability of being selected, which removes the bias while selecting a sample. Simplicity. This method involves dividing larger groups into smaller subgroups that are called strata. Members are divided into these groups based on any attributes they share. The two advantages are lack of bias and simplicity, which are very much essential when you deal with random sampling method. Next, we come to the disadvantages of random sampling. In random sampling, the main important disadvantage is difficulty in checking the whole population. One of the major disadvantages of random sampling is the fact that it requires a complete list of population, but in reality we cannot go in all circumstances to go for a complete list of population. There may some bias may occur, so that becomes one of the disadvantages. The second disadvantages of random sampling comes with time consuming. Smaller subset lists can be used for larger population, but this strategy takes more time to complete, so the consumption of time is very high, so that becomes the second disadvantage of the random sampling. The third disadvantage is higher cost. In addition to time, the cost involved in collecting the data is very high, so the time and cost involved in selecting the random sampling also increases, so that also becomes one of the disadvantage. And the last disadvantage of random sampling is sample selection has bias. If the population size is large, there is a chance that bias may occur in sample selection. The following diagram compares normal distribution with two sample t distribution with different sample size. Here we have a normal distribution which looks like a bell-shaped curve which ranges from -infinity to +infinity. Here we have introduced two t distributions with the sample of size n equal to 2 and n equal to 15. From this one can understand how the distribution has range from plus to minus, from lower to upper by through the curve. So the t distribution has a maximum size of n is equal to 30, it reaches to the normal distribution. Dependent sample t test. The dependent sample t test is also called as paired sample t test, matched pair t test, repeated measure t test, t test for dependent means, t test for related samples, correlated means samples. So dependent sample t test can be named with the above listed ways we can call a dependent sample t test. Example. Now we are going to see a psychological experiment where An organizational psychologist is interested in testing the productivity of employees in a company. This company is going to give a training program. Whether the training program is going to improve their productivity or not, that they are going to check. Here, the training program could either improve productivity by making the working environment more pleasant or have no impact on the productivity level. That we are going to check by a psychologist. In this test, it is necessary that the observation in the two samples be collected in the form of matched pairs. Two samples are chosen at random of the employee in the company. Instead of obtaining two random samples, we can get one random sample of pairs, and the two measurements associated with the pair will be related to each other. In such cases, we deal with before and after type of experiments when observations are come with matched pairs. If the training methods are to be compared on the difference of two scores, trainees will be divided equally into two classes, one before the training program and another after attending the training program. We should follow the following testing procedure for two sample dependent t-test. Testing procedure. In testing procedure, we have to follow the 5 important principal steps. The first steps comes with the test of null hypothesis, that the mean value associated with the two methods are equal. It is noted by H0 colon mu1 equal to mu2. The second step is fixing the alternative hypothesis. To test the alternative hypothesis that the mean values associated with the two methods are not equal, which is represented by H1 colon mu1 is not equal to mu2. In testing procedure, the third important step is level of significance. The level of significance may be fixed at either 1% or 5%. Generally, any researcher can fix their level at 1% or 5%, that is 0.01 or 0.05. The fourth step is an important step. Here only we fix the test statistic. Here the test statistic is selected as two sample dependent t-test, since we are dealing with dependent sample t-test as a pair t-test. And the final steps is called as inference. In inference, which is made with the calculated value and table value, we compare the calculated value and table value and we draw inference on any testing procedures. Let us summarize what we have learned in this video. In this video, we come across random sampling, its definition, advantages, disadvantages from normal population, difference between two dependent samples, correlated means, and examples. We will continue in the next video. Thank you.